Cheers, everybody. Happy belated New Year's. This is our first episode of 2021. We're kicking off with a bang. I'm so excited. I feel like we should be playing some old school, some like Dr. Dre, some California love. And when I think of cars in California, I always think about, of course, the Impala 6.4s rolling in my 6.4. But we got a great episode. And so our guest tonight is a buddy of mine from West Coast Customs. And we did an episode back in November where he had a very special car, probably maybe the longest build they've ever done. And he couldn't tell us whose it was at the time. It's a sick build. And since then, it has been revealed. The client has the car and they actually have it back. Lucky for us, because I was hoping it would still be in the shop and it wasn't last week. This week it's back in the shop. So you're going to get to see that. It's an amazing build. And first and foremost, I would like to say, what up, Judy Sketch Lewinson, my producer up in Canada.
How goes it, Stevie? Happy belated New Year and all the other stuff that's going on.
Now, do you guys have like custom cars up there, or do you just drive?
Yeah. In fact, when I was in high school, that was like a really big thing. I'm excited for our guest today too, because as recall from our last episode, talking to him offline, a lot of the same sort of things where you just get a car and you're like, you know what, let me just rip it apart and see what we can do. And sometimes it drove the police a little bit nuts, kids just cutting the springs to lower their cars, not necessarily making it street worthy and legal, but this is an exciting build.
What is the culture up there like? Like in California, it's it can be lowriders depending on what part of California you're in. So if you're like in South Central, you're going to see lowriders at swap meets, and if you're down in Orange County, you're going to see surf rods. A lot of station wagons have been modified. So what are the hot rods, or are you into more like European fast sports cars up there, or
so it's
California muscle cars?
It's interesting. It's different in different neighborhoods and regions as well as across the country. Just from an environmental standpoint, we have different type of weather, so you have to treat your cars differently, just how they'll hold up.
Yeah.
But where I'm at, a lot of SUVs, so like Escalades, always getting worked on.
Okay.
When like 6.4 Impalas were really big in California, you saw people getting those a lot up here, because we're still on the West Coast in Vancouver, so we do have that good weather. And what happens is people will get multiple cars so that they can switch them out during the seasons, whereas in California it's pretty much sunny all the time, right? So you'll have someone that will work on their car. And actually where I live, we have a massive auto show takes over the main stretch of the highway. That classic cars, modern cars, it's just people really love cars out here. And you'll see a lot of really old cars. And then what we're seeing right now is kids are grabbing cars from like the 80s and early 90s as their collector cars. So it's kind of funny. Like you'll see something like, I've got a CRX. I want a CRX. I'm like, oh, okay.
Mid-80s cars. Yeah, they're coming back strong.
Yeah, and then they're checking them out themselves.
For Speed.
Yeah.
And you also play the game Need for Speed, right?
Love that game. It's an Electronic Arts game, and my brother works for Electronic Arts, so I've had every incarnation of that game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We got to tell Colin that, my son, because just the other day it was like an 85 Buick Regal. It was one of the custom cars. I'm like, those mid-80 cars are coming back, man.
Yeah.
Strong.
So if you've got one,
it's interesting. I watched a show called I watched a show from Canada. It's a restoration hot rod show called Rust Valley Restoration or something like that.
Yeah.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah, there's
So there, I didn't realize there's so many car shows up there, and classic cars and muscle cars are big. So
yeah, trucks, and then you also get semi truck drivers, how they trick out their cabs and stuff like that too. Like there's a lot that they do up here. It's not just hockey and poutine.
That's a new reality show idea. New reality show idea I came up with myself just now.
Yeah, just now by yourself. All by yourself. I wasn't here at all.
That's me.
I'm excited about today's show. So who do we got?
You know how I look out for you like that.
Yes. Gonna be good.
All right, Judy, I'm excited for this. This is a buddy of mine over at West Coast, and they've got their own Netflix show. They don't need to be doing this, but I blackmail him, and like I'm going to do here in a couple of minutes.
He's
I
here
really do
because he
blackmail
loves
my
us.
friends.
He loves us, and that's why he's here.
Yeah, and I'm going to show a picture of him from Super Bowl blackmail, and so that's what I do to my friends to get them on the show. So I appreciate it. He's only the director of operations, like he's got nothing better to do than do our show here, broadcast from the double wide. But I appreciate it, and the car we are going to talk about mostly is back in the shop, and my mama don't like you. That's a little tease of whose car it is, but yeah, it's a sick machine. It's the first of the kind that they built, and I'm excited to show
Very
this. It's
impressive.
our first episode of 2021. All right, shall we kick it?
Let's kick it.
All right, we are back, y'all. And I think it was back in November, we had this guest, and he was very secretive. He was on the down low, and he was like teasing us with a special build. Only took about 3+ years to build this car for a special celebrity. I don't know if we're going to squeeze who it is out of him, but I'll definitely try. I know a couple of his songs. Maybe I'd like hum the song, and you can guess. But last time he wasn't allowed to show us the reveal. We just got to see, I think, like a tire. But the cat's out of the bag. It's been revealed. It's out there. It's in every car magazine. I think yesterday I sent him something on Instagram. Someone said this wasn't the only thing that floated. Santa's sleigh also floated. So I don't know if that was a compliment or like a jealousy thing, but it's a bad mamma jamma, and I hope we get to see it today. I think we do. And they got a hit show called West Coast Customs. They've done so many badass rides, and I hope we get a peek at a few of them today. And this is my buddy. Everybody give it up for Mr. Chad. We're going to add in the sound effects later.
Perfect. Yeah, we need lots of sound, lots of applause, please. Yeah.
I mean,
I'll just
like
sit here and wait for a few minutes so that the crowd can die down. Perfect.
Yeah, just wait for it. All right. It should be dying down about now.
All right, good. We can get started. How you doing, Stevie?
Good, brother. Haven't seen you since the Super Bowl.
Yeah, a long time, right? Like a couple days.
Man, I've never seen someone more excited about the Super Bowl than this guy.
That's a face of excitement right there. That is a serious face of excitement.
You didn't even know I took that.
No, I definitely, judging by that picture, I don't think I knew anything that was going on right then.
He was meditating. He has so much stress at work, and during the commercials, he would just meditate and close his eyes.
So when you get one day off a week, you get any sleep that you can.
Wow, it's crazy. Like, I was so excited that this car is finally unveiled because you worked on it for 3+ years, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's kind of a story behind that. I can get into it a little bit. We got the majority of the car done in 2 years. We had the body on, it was painted, ready to go, and we came to a point where we were ready for final instruction from the client on the interior and the audio system. He's a recording artist, so we needed to do a really cool audio system for him, and kind of went silent. I know he was going through some other things in life, and I guess the car wasn't his priority at the time, and we didn't know what to do. We had this project that was our number one priority. We got it to a point where we were proud to reveal it to him, and he wasn't quite ready. So he came back after a few months and says, no, I want it. I'm excited. I want to finish it. So gave us some instruction. We did the interior for him. We built a really cool audio system that's worthy of this vehicle. And he picked it up a couple weeks ago. And interestingly enough, paparazzi got a hold of it that very night. He went right from here to pick up his wife. They went out to Nobu. And before you know it, it's all over the internet. It hasn't stopped since.
And did paparazzi see him driving the car? They saw him get in and out?
Yeah. So
because you had told me, so you, yeah. So can we say who it is now that it's out?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. My mama don't like you, but she might tell everyone. So that's Jamie Foxx, right? No, Justin Bieber, y'all.
It was Jamie Foxx. Yeah. Jamie Bieber.
Jamie Bieber. I knew who it was the last time, and for once I kept my mouth shut. But before when we had you on, I think it was in November. But it's such an exciting build, man. It was just crazy. You'd never done anything like that with like the car that seemed to be floating and you couldn't see the wheels turning, right?
Yeah, so that the whole floating wheels part is new for us. We haven't done that before. We have done similar projects where we take a car, whether it be a modern Corvette and we removed the body and we put an old like 1970 Chevelle body on there. And it's
I've
the
seen
best
that.
of both worlds because you get the reliability of a new car, you get that push button start with great suspension and a badass engine, and you get the look of a classic car. Because I mean, the lines were just so pretty, but nobody wants to go out there and mess with the carburetor on a cold morning and get this thing up and running and having all those issues. So getting a Corvette Z06, take the body off, put on an old Chevelle body. It handles like a brand new car. If you have issues, you can take to the dealer. They can plug it in, scan it, let you know what's wrong. It just kind of takes it to the next level.
So the chassis fit and everything on the frame?
Well, for that build, we did a little bit of, I think we lengthened the wheelbase just a little bit on the Z06, a couple inches. And we were able to open up the opening for the rear wheels just a hair. When you look at it, you wouldn't know that we actually modified the body or the chassis. It all kind of works well together, but it's down to millimeters when you're actually building these things. So something that looks close when you're starting the project, then you actually get into it and it's like, well, that's not going to work. We actually need to just shorten this by a half inch here or a couple millimeters there. And it's pretty crazy, some of the stuff that we go through just for that much room to make something work.
You guys were doing one on the show I was watching. You were putting a classic car on, on a frame of a classic on a frame of a newer car, and it was so close. So then you got to take it off and re-weld and squeeze everything just a little bit
Start
more.
all over again. Yep, and then put it back. It's and there's no manual for this. I mean, it's custom because we're figuring it out as we go. I mean, we're doing engineering on the fly. So if it was easy, everybody would do it. Most people don't have the balls to take a brand new car, $100,000 car, and just cut it up and say, all right, well, cool, let's do this. And we do. I mean, we do it every day. I mean, our guys have been doing this long enough where they don't care that it's a Rolls Royce or something high end. A car is a car at this point. So we know how to cut things up. We know how to put them back together.
Do you say yes before you know if you can do it?
No, I try not to.
Figure it out after you, like when Justin came to you and said,
I get some crazy requests.
So you tell me the story, like Justin Bieber saw the car at a car show, right? But it was a concept.
Rolls Royce created a concept. I believe it's the 103XV or something like that, the vision concept. It's their vision of the future of electric cars. And it was a really cool concept they built. But similar to ours, you couldn't see the wheels. It had like a shield over the wheels. Since it was electric, there was no engine in the front. So what they did with that front space in front of the cockpit was basically create some storage from some suitcases that you can pull the suitcases out. It was a really cool concept. Justin saw it. He wanted to buy it. Rolls said, sorry, we're not selling it. It's a concept car. It's not crash tested. It goes 5 miles an hour. We have a golf cart motor in it to get in and out of shows. That's it. It's a concept only. So his next call was to us and say, can you guys build me that? Well, yeah, probably pretty close. He came up with the idea of using a Rolls Royce Wraith as the donor car. So it's a Rolls Royce through and through. It's not like we took a Fiero and decided to put a Rolls Royce body on it. We started with the Rolls Royce.
Fieros, by the way. So did he buy the Rolls Royce?
He bought a Rolls Royce. He brought us a Rolls Royce Wraith, brand new, pulled it into the shop, and that was it. Dropped it off and said, you guys, this is what I want. Showed us the concept. This is the Wraith. Let me know what you come up with. So a week or so later, our designer Musa did some really cool line sketches. I mean, just pencil and paper, get some of these proportions laid out on paper, see if he liked the lines. And he fell in love with one of them. And we started from there. So it all started just pencil and paper sketch. And then it went to 3D renderings, then 3D data and scanning the car and getting all the data from the car and meshing our model with the actual vehicle itself and figuring out, will this work? Is it going to crash into the wheels when he turns? Is it going to have enough clearance underneath? So there's so much that goes along with that. I tell people the whole first year was basically spent working on 3D data. It was all inside of a computer. I mean, we had this car sitting in the shop, and other than taking it apart and doing some 3D scanning, we weren't really working on it yet. All of it was being done inside the computer, which is cool because I grew up doing this stuff where it's all hands-on. I feel like we're living in the future now to be able to 3D scan something or
3D scan,
before it was all clay shaping or fiberglass, and how do you make the left side match the right side perfectly? And no matter how many jigs and templates and whatever you make to match it up, there's always variances here or there where it's not perfect. And maybe only the creator knew that it was slightly off here or there. Now it's 100% perfect. You do it on both sides. You can basically model one side of the car, 3D scan it, and then build the other side from that. So it was pretty fun using all the new technology that's at our disposal. We actually ended up milling the entire body out of foam twice. The first one, just we had some issues with the body line where it just did not flow perfectly through the car. So we had to mill it again, kind of adjust some of these lines, get it all tacked back on the body. All right, cool. This one flows better. It looks good. I think we're gonna be okay. Then we start hard coating it, body working it, and making molds. After that, you could rip all the foam back off the car and throw it in the trash and start making parts from the molds. It's crazy how much waste there is to building something like this. But we have it down to a point now where we can actually recreate fenders. I could recreate the hood, the trunk. If it was ever in an accident, I could rebuild any of the parts that are on there. We have all the data for the
only you have the molds.
Yes, that's it. So if something happens, he's got to come back to us.
So Tesla's like that, right? You can only go to Tesla for things, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of companies that want to keep stuff like that proprietary. It keeps people coming back, and as soon as you let that data out and give it to anybody else, then it's theirs to do what they want with it, and then it's kind of a mess.
I heard a story on Joe Rogan where someone bought a totaled Tesla, and then said, "Well, I'll just get a couple, get a battery or whatever." And Tesla's like, we have it here on our computer that car's totaled. We're not selling you anything." So then he had to buy another one. And then he's like doing Frankenstein, trying to put things back together, because Tesla wouldn't sell him anything if it's in their, on the records as being a totaled car.
Absolutely.
You can only bring it back to Tesla.
They track all of that stuff now.
Wrote it off. So, so you had the car for 2+ years, and did every modification, every change, when you got to something that said it worked, did you have to contact Justin and go, thumbs up? Do you have to sign off, or you just kept going forward?
Just kept going. He
kept going.
Once he saw that initial design, he trusts us. Now, we've worked on enough projects with him, and you've done several cars for him, right? Yeah, and he's been involved with Ryan as a friend, a close friend, for many years, and he's been involved with the company for a long time and built a lot of vehicles. So he trusts us, and he knows that we're going to do the right thing to make it look like the concept that he dreamed of. Yeah. I was actually upstairs.
There's the Biebs with one of his.
Yeah.
What is that? A Maserati you guys did for him?
No, that's the DeLorean. That's actually Will.I.Am's DeLorean. So Will.I.Am from the Black Eyed Peas, we built a crazy DeLorean with another one. That was one of my favorite cars.
That's not the Biebs. Now in Colombia. That's the Biebs with Ryan.
That's the Biebs with Ryan in front of Will.I.Am's car.
Really? I thought that was his car.
Nope. Will.I.Am
painted a DeLorean?
Not only did we paint it, we did the same thing. We built a whole body for it. So if you look at that front end, it looks nothing like a factory DeLorean. You have to look up the DeLorean. It's Will.I.Am. DeLorean. So you can Google that after watching us talk here.
All right, let's fly that in later there. Judy, we'll look that up. You guys have done a lot of cars for Will.I.Am also, right?
He has a whole showroom of them here. He's another one like Justin, where he likes to build these really cool projects, but I almost think that he has like creative ADD. He finishes one, he loves it, he drives it all over. Like, I love that he actually takes these cars and puts them on the road and beats them up, and 6 months goes by and he's got a new thought in his head. He says, I love this car, but I want to build that. And then we build that, and the old one just kind of redheaded.
Does he take all the cars? Lost. I know you guys have like a concierge service now where you keep some of the cars, and you said they give you like a 24-hour heads up, and you detail the car and have it all checked, and fluid levels and air pressure on the tires and all that ready to go. How many cars do you have from Will.I.Am there at the shop?
I think we have 6 of them currently.
6 currently?
A couple of them are up in our showroom here right now, and he doesn't ever need those. He doesn't ever ask for them for a concierge type service. He'll call us and say, next week I'm doing a music video shoot. I'd like to have my cars at the music video shoot. That's the only time we ever get them out anymore.
Gotcha.
You have a better chance of seeing Will on the streets riding a bicycle than you do in a car these days.
Really?
He loves riding those electric assist bicycles all over Hollywood. So if you see a guy in some bottle cap glasses, that's Will. Love you, Will.
Electric bikes? You guys got to get in the electric bike business, man.
We've worked on some for him. We built him a couple crazy electric bikes now. Carbon fiber chassis, the whole 9. So
really?
Yeah.
Do you have an episode on the show about that?
No, we didn't do an episode on the bikes. We do
That's
so
pretty
many
cool.
crazy things here. I wish we did episodes on half of them. We just had Larry Flint's wheelchair up here to do some modifications of that, and then I saw he passed away last week, so he
So
didn't
can I
get to
have it? Will
enjoy
you
those.
donate it to me?
Unfortunately, we gave it back to him right before he passed away. If I still had it here, yeah, we could probably work something out.
It was gold,
some-
right?
Yeah, gold. He
I
had
met him
3
and he was
gold
at a-
wheelchairs.
Gold, yeah, he had gold wheelchair. I met him. I actually went to his offices before, and they were because he's from Kentucky like me. He was like white trash with money. Like,
Yeah.
he was like a Beverly Hillbillies. And I went to his office on Wilshire there, and I was like, "You look like a hillbilly that made a lot of money and just bought like really tacky shit."
Yeah, that you hit it on the head.
See, I keep it real with the double wide here, Chad.
I like that the virtual beanbag chair behind you.
What
Should we walk out
virtual?
here and
This
check
is
out
all-
the car?
Where's the virtual? All right, we giving a tour here, Chad?
Yeah, let's check it out. Let's go out here and see. Here, actually, on the way, we can stop and see. Can I flip the camera around on Zoom? How does it work? Let's try this. We have the world famous Big Dane. Dana, how you
What
doing?
up, bro? Woo!
Here's this is one of Will.I.Am's cars here.
What is that?
This is a rocket, Tesla rocket. So it's actually the first Tesla. It's called the Roadster, not the new Roadster they're releasing, but this came out before the Model S. It was a Lotus Elise, basically, with a full electric drivetrain. Now we made a whole body for it, so these were not the
Beautiful.
cool headlights that came with the Tesla, and it
wow.
didn't have this amazing carbon fiber body with all exposed carbon weave on here. So we designed this body from scratch, and we used the same design for our roller coaster front end that you can see at Six Flags.
Which I told my son Colin I'm going to ask you about. So you must be the only custom car builders that have your own roller coaster at Six Flags.
Correct. We are the only custom car builders in the world with our own roller coaster. Now I know Ferrari has one at Ferrari World in Abu Dhabi, and
They do.
GM has Test Track at one of their Disney locations, but there's no other shop out there that has their own roller coaster. We're the only one, so it's pretty special.
When are we going, bro?
As soon as they open, man, when they're open, I'm there. I love that thing. Like I'm a roller coaster guy, and having our own was pretty amazing. Another Will.I.Am
badass. I know-
Tesla.
Oh, wow.
So that's
What kind
the
of
Model
wheels
S.
are those?
Another funky wheel. We machine these. This is a carbon
Holy
fiber disc, and there's only as little reveal around here, and that actually lights up at night, so it glows. You see like this
Oh,
little white
wow.
ring that glows at night. But another super cool car that we built for Will that kind of hangs out here every day, and people can come by and check it out, see it on display.
Is that a first? When have you ever made wheels like that before?
It was a first. This is another first.
I've never seen anything like that.
Oh, Let me
Wow.
flip this camera back around here. Yeah, I like working with these guys because they always want to do something that nobody else has done. I mean, Justin wanted to build this Rolls Royce because everybody in LA has a Rolls Royce. Anywhere
Yeah.
else in the country, having a Rolls Royce is enough. Any other place in the country, somebody sees a Rolls Royce and like, that's amazing. You've got a Rolls Royce. Out here, you see them at every stoplight, it seems. That's crazy.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he wanted something that was unique, that was different, and I think we accomplished that.
Was it you or one of our buddies the other day that posted the Bentley that was stuck in the flood when we had the rains?
That was me.
That was you. I thought so.
Only in LA.
Like you said, only in LA, right?
I don't know if that was an insurance job or what, but there was a Bentley on the side of the road and about 2 feet of water just hanging out. So that's something that you would see only in LA.
Just one morning. Just let me see if my Bentley would go through this flood here.
Let me flip this around here. So here she is, hanging out,
There-
looking beautiful.
There it is.
So we didn't get to see this last time, but this is the final product. It came out amazing. I'm
That
really,
is
really
amazing,
happy with it.
buddy.
I know the guys at the
So-
shop are really proud, and everybody worked really hard on this. From our
So
light up Spirit of Ecstasy,
that's
our
cool.
custom grill. Here, let me
That's
grab the key. I can
retractable,
light
right?
her up. This one is not.
You can
This
fire it up?
one, here, this one lights up though, which is super cool.
So how much wider is the front wider than the back, Chad?
No,
you
if
can't
you
see the
actually
wheel
look
steering?
down the line, it's straight.
Yeah.
But you can see here how we flared it out on each
Yeah, you
fender.
flared.
So that gives us a little added room up front for the wheels to turn. And then we machined new wheels that actually push in as tight as we can up against the brakes.
Man.
That way they don't crash into the covers when it's turning. So you can kind of peek underneath here and just see the bottom hanging out there. But
And you said it never scrapes, right? Will it raise automatically?
yeah, so the car has air suspension and it raises and lowers automatically. Hopefully you can hear me with all the grinding here in the background.
No, it's fine.
But,
yeah, we're good.
Yeah, so the car raises and lowers. It's got 3 set heights in there. So it's got a height like now where it's dropped all the way down. Then it has a driving height in the middle, and then it goes up one more time for if you're going in or out of like a steep driveway, it'll lift up and you won't scrape all this nice bodywork on the ground.
So when you build something like that, do you hear from Rolls Royce? Do you hear from anybody?
On this one we did. There was actually one of the designers that is in touch with Musa, who we were a little like worried that maybe he wouldn't be so happy we were doing this to one of their cars, but he was ecstatic. He thought this was really cool and was actually really thrilled with the end result. So it's always cool to get the support of some of the manufacturers when they see what you do with their cars. It's always good that they're supporting us instead of saying, hey, what did you do to our car, man? You ruined this thing.
What the F?
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. Chad, so if someone gets a Ford GT, which you got to be approved to get the Ford GT, right?
Right.
So when you get it, you're like an ambassador for a couple of years, right? We talked about this.
Correct. Yes.
So would you be allowed to modify that car within that 2-year window?
I would have to look at the contract. I know that they're really strict about people buying and selling them. Their biggest thing with the ambassador is that they don't want somebody buying these cars just to mark them up and make it impossible for everyday Joe Schmo to buy. They want to make sure they keep them at retail. They get rid of the ones that they've built at retail and at least keep the market somewhat normal for the first 2 years or whatever the ambassador contract is for. I don't know if they have provisions about modifying them or at least modifying them aesthetically so they would look different.
Yeah.
I've never run into that before. We have put wheels and lowered these cars and done wraps or paint on them. The LaFerrari is one of them that you're not supposed to modify. The Ford GT was another one. There's always a handful of these flagship cars they make maybe 500 or less, and they just don't want you messing with them or at least selling them. But we've never gotten any trouble like that. At least not yet. Knock on wood.
So you're the director of operations, correct? Something like that. Like you got an important
general manager
title over there. Like you have a business card.
I do.
So do you feel a responsibility, like before you give a green light, do you have to say, let me check with our legal or what we can do here?
Yes. I anytime where I would have a question like that, I would get legal involved. I also feel a responsibility just for safety. Like when I've got an important person like Justin Bieber out there, we're putting him in this concept style car for him to drive on the streets. I'm the one that has to make sure it's safe for him to drive. So I was taking this thing out for test drives at 4 a.m. so nobody could see it. It's dark out. I'm killing all the lights on the car so nobody would see these lights underneath as it floats by, and everything I could just to keep it off the internet. Put about 100 miles on it like that, just covert, nighttime hours only. And when I felt like it was safe enough for him to drive, I signed off and we got it ready for delivery. But yeah, that's my job with any of the vehicles here. I'm the last one to get in there and make sure that it's safe for everybody. And we've crossed our T's, dotted our I's, and did it right.
So you drive it before you hand the keys over?
Always.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it was just a full wrap. I still take it for a quick drive afterward. We take these cars even when we're wrapping a car. I mean, that's like the most basic of modifications. We still take it apart. Bumpers come off, handles come off, interior panels come off, mirrors come off. All these parts come off, and there's a chance one of our technicians might not have plugged something in all the way. The plug might not be seated in its the female side of the plug. Something might just be a little bit off here or there, and I have to be the one to find that. I don't want the customer to be the one to find that. So it's usually my job to go out there, test the windows, test the stereo, test the lights, check everything off, making sure everything's solid before any car leaves.
That's crazy. I didn't know you took a car apart to do a wrap. I thought you just did a 3D thing and a shrink wrap and.
We get in trouble from these guys on the internet that are advertising these $2,000 wrap specials. And the reason why it's a $2,000 wrap special is they don't take anything apart. They're using some cheap Chinese material that's going to fall off on its own after a couple of weeks. And you get what you pay for. I mean, we treat these cars like we're painting them. And the final result, you wouldn't know the difference between wrap and paint if it's done right.
Yeah. You did a buddy of ours car, Ken G. You did his caddy, right? The Camaro Caddy.
We did his Caddy and the Tesla. His banging Tesla. He likes to drive that thing.
Oh, you
all
wrapped
over with
you wrapped the
stereo.
Tesla.
Yeah, so we painted the Caddy, we wrapped the Tesla. The Caddy was a much bigger job. I mean, the Caddy had interior work, it had audio work, it was on our TV show. The Tesla was something that his wife Candace decided to do for him for a birthday present. I thought it was pretty special, and I was happy to be a part of the surprise. But Kenji's a good dude, and I'm always happy to do stuff for him and his family.
Well, you know, the other day when I had my T-shirt on my car, when I took the bait on the Instagram,
I like that
ad,
shirt.
like, hey,
I like it.
Thank you. But the graphics, like my 10-year-old daughter could have done better graphics, but it was slammed and the wheels were a little bigger than mine. You're like, that's how it should look.
Yeah,
it should be slammed.
I like that. I like that cartoony look. And big wheels, lowered stance. So I wasn't standing close enough to you to see that the graphics weren't that crisp. I don't want to be that close to you, man. Like,
good. Well, we showed the
need
picture of what you look like on Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, my eyes weren't open wide enough to see the graphics.
That might be
the problem. I got a few questions here from people. I put it out there.
Okay.
Can you or can you not reveal the price of the Biebs build, the latest? Probably not.
I'll tell you, it's 7 figures.
7. Okay. All right. Also, I think we already talked about you test drive, and you told me you take about 4 o'clock in the morning, and you said one morning you were driving that particular one, and someone came by with their video doing their.
That was literally the last morning too. Yeah.
Shit.
Yes. Yeah. So I was stopped at a light, and I was making it a habit. If there was already cars at the light, which there's not much traffic at 4 a.m. in LA, it's one of the only times there's not much traffic. But if there was cars already stopped at the light, I would pick the longest row of cars, and I'd stop probably 50 feet behind that, thinking that way there's no chance somebody's going to pull up next to me and get a picture.
Yeah.
Well, here I am sitting way back there, and a guy in a truck comes rolling by super slow in this work truck, and he's got his phone out the window, and real nice. So like, no. Luckily he didn't post it on the internet, at least not that I saw. And Justin was the first one to kind of let the cat out of the bag with paparazzi. So it ended up working out okay.
Yeah, you said you saw it. He parked it outside of some condo or something also.
Yeah.
And,
so yeah, the first night he went out to dinner with his wife, and they got some shots there. And then the next day he went to some condo or townhouse in Hollywood, and one of these local LA car spotters, I think he goes by F Spot, found it and did like a full walk around video. He had a 12-minute video and kind of highlighted all these different features on there, and even parked one of his own crazy cars right next to it. He got some side-by-side shots, but it was all positive stuff. So that was good to see.
Have you been getting good feedback?
Overall, we've had great feedback. I mean, there's always going to be a couple haters out there, but I'd say 95% of the articles that have already been released have all been West Coast Customs has outdone themselves. Like, this is really next level stuff. So that's
that brings me to my next question. Someone, so I put a couple of fan questions out there, and this one's actually from my son Colin, and he asked, "What was your favorite build?"
Favorite build?
Can you say favorite?
That's a tough one. You know, there's some of them that are my least favorite when I'm doing them, and they end up being some of my top favorites at the end. I would have to say we built a 1955 Porsche 356, and we did it on top of a modern Porsche Cayman chassis. So it's similar to what we're doing here, but it's an old James Dean style car, and it was a real Porsche. People beat us up for taking a real 356 and making it into a modern car. It was an absolute nightmare to build, and it was probably my favorite car when it was done. It was beautiful. It had these gorgeous lines. It handled like a go-kart. I drove it up and down the California coast, all the way up to Monterey and back with it, and I absolutely loved it. So yeah.
Did you run the miles? You try to run the miles back like Ferris Bueller? You try to
I did it in reverse. So I drove it up forward and drove it back in reverse. So no miles on the clock.
Nice. I would have tried that. All right. We had a fan question by someone named Rick Riley. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, I know that guy.
Rick Riley.
Somebody needs to block him.
Really cool voice. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a great voice.
Oh, excellent voice. He said, what was your first car? I think he knows the answer, but he asked this question.
So I had a Mazda B2200 pickup truck. So it's a little extended cab pickup truck, 1989. Little 2.2 liter. I had a wall of 16 woofers inside of it, hydraulic suspension. This is when I bought it, it didn't have any of that stuff. But this is what I started learning on. And my dad, I let the cat out of the bag. It's my dad. He asked the question. But my
Yes,
dad
Big
was one of
Brother's
those
dad.
guys that always said, if somebody else can do it, so can you. Instead of investing the money and having them do it for you, invest the money in the tools and teach yourself, and then you can do this for a lifetime. And with cars,
Very
that
cool.
paid off because it became my career. But I started with a great truck that he picked up for me. He got it from a paint shop in Georgia. He's driving from North Carolina down to Florida, and he saw this thing on the side of the road in Georgia, and he snuck it back to Florida and put it in a storage unit for a couple months until my birthday. On my birthday, he gave it to me, and first thing I did was take this beautiful paint, and I started grinding on it, and
Did
got
you
rid of
really?
the door handles. Yeah, I got rid of the door handles, got rid of the tail lights, got rid of the gas door. I didn't have a gas door to fill it up with gas anymore, so I had to put the whole bed on hinges that would lift up on hydraulics to fill it up with gas. But I just didn't like the look
How
of
old
a
were
gas
you?
door.
Were you
16 years old. 16.
Shit.
And I started pushing
Wow,
the broom in a
16.
local hydraulic shop where this guy, Rich Sander, he was doing all the car audio and hydraulics with the Miami Dolphins down there in Florida. And he saw something in me where he said, all right, I'll take you under my wing and I'll show you some stuff. And he
Wow.
kind of took me to the school of hard knocks. I learned the hard way, but he taught me a lot. And I'd pull in my truck and work on it after hours. And he'd help me out with parts and products. And it was a good gig. I enjoyed it. It was fun.
So where's that truck now?
Somewhere in Puerto Rico, actually. I've been
Really?
trying to, I'd like to get it back. I really would. It's always one of those things where you could find your first car and get it back. I would buy
Yeah.
it back in a heartbeat. I sold it to a friend of mine down in Florida to get another project when I was about 19 or 20. And he eventually sold it to somebody that exported it to Puerto Rico. And it's still running around down there. I actually had a friend that saw it in recent years. And I wish I could get a hold of the guy. I would buy it back in a heartbeat.
Is there a way to trace like the VIN number or something like that?
Maybe, I haven't taken it
PI?
that far down the rabbit hole. I think I need to go the next step, but I'd really love
Let's
to have
get
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear
think
that a
Rick-
lot. Like the car that got away. I hear a lot of
Oh, yeah.
stories about, I wish I hadn't sold this car, or people that want a similar car because they let that one get away. I've heard that story so many times, and then the car has crashed or something.
Right.
So that's
I hear
painful.
the same stories. There's always that one car that got away.
Yep. So this guy, Rick Riley, actually took upon himself to ask 2 questions. I didn't say that you can have 2 questions.
Figures. Yeah.
This guy, he said also, have you ever
Pushy.
driven a Typhoon?
Yeah. I don't know if I should talk about that. Maybe I could say I drove it in Mexico because I was underage. But
What is a Typhoon?
so GMC made a Cyclone and a Typhoon in 1991 and 1992. So 1992. The Cyclone was the truck version. It's small S10 style pickup truck with a turbocharged all-wheel drive traction control setup that just an absolute animal. I mean, this thing was the first car to ever come with launch control built in. And people would get these things and modify them just a little bit, take them out to the drag strips, and they were amazing trucks. The year after, they came out with the Typhoon, which was the S10 Blazer. So it had the rear seats in there. It looked like a little Blazer Jimmy pickup truck, but the
I
same
like those little
engine.
Blazers.
And it was beautiful.
Yeah.
We bought it from Vanilla Ice. I used to race dirt bikes with Vanilla Ice down in Florida.
All
He was like
right.
our local track
That's gonna be our next
superstar.
episode. All right.
All right.
Robert
Get
Van
Rob on the
Winkle and
phone.
you.
Rob Van
Yeah.
Winkle is a good dude. I really like Rob, and I used to
seems
race
like a
dirt
good
bikes
dude.
with him, and he was into
Nice.
cars, and my dad and him hit it off, and eventually my dad picked up this Typhoon from him, and I loved this truck. I really wish this truck would have been my truck, but insurance was absolutely ridiculous on it, and as a 16-year-old kid, there was no way I could have afforded that. So in the year leading up to my 16th birthday, my dad did the morning radio show down in Florida. So he had to be up and out of the house at 3:30 a.m.,
Rick Riley.
which meant he went to bed really early, which meant that I could get the keys and leave the house. So we go down to like the local Fuddruckers where they're racing the Mustangs and the IROCs. And down in Florida, it rains every day, like at 4:30 in the afternoon, like clockwork. So these rear wheel drive cars had no traction, and these guys are betting money down there. And I'd show up with 3 friends in the Typhoon and just romp all over these guys. So I had an absolute blast in that car. I got my first speeding ticket in that car when I was of age, so that was good. Didn't get any speeding tickets before then, but luckily I never wrecked the car, never got in any trouble with it. I always tried to put it right back in the same spots where he had it in the garage and never let him know that I drove it. I'd wash it if he was out of town, and I
You
do
don't
really
think he
good.
knew?
Really,
He never knew?
he didn't know till I told him.
Really?
So yeah, we talk about it now, but
That's
I
why
did
you
a good
asked?
job of keeping it from him. And luckily I never did anything so stupid where I watered it up and took it off the road into a pole or something. But
Yeah.
yeah, I lucked
I
out.
did that before as a teenager. I had like a guardian. I was 16. I just become of age, and I had a guardian. They let me take their car out on a date. And of course, I was doing donuts in like a church parking lot, and went off and bottomed out once. And the next day they
Nice.
opened. I didn't think to open the trunk, and they had like turtle wax and everything perfectly placed in the trunk, and shit was just.
Not anymore.
They're like, what in the hell? I'm like, oh no. Maybe I hit a speed bump.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what happened
I
there.
don't know.
Luckily,
All right, see if we got
luckily
any
I
more
didn't get
fan
in too
questions.
much trouble. I was hoping my kids would steal my cars when they were old enough, but my oldest stepson's 18 and I can't get him behind the wheel even with a permit. So I don't know. Times have changed.
Really? Yeah, now they can just
Yeah.
Uber. They don't care about driving.
Exactly. They don't. They couldn't care less about driving. It's really weird.
You know, one thing I like is I miss is picking up my daughter, especially if I was picking her up from school. You know, our kids went to the same school there, and she would say, "Daddy, drive the Trans Am." And
Yeah.
but the monitor, the little patrol person that puts the kids in the car would always be like, "This guy's selling ecstasy. This guy looks sketchy." Would always come over and with the walkie. Yeah, who are you here to pick up? Who are not asking the Tesla behind me or the
Exactly.
Range
Just
Rover,
you.
but just a Trans Am with the T-tops. Who are you here to pick up?
Who's this redneck in the Trans Am over here? He doesn't belong.
Says Kentucky Porsche on his license plates.
Yeah. My dad used to have a 1966 Shelby Cobra 427. I used to beg him to pick me up from school in that car.
God.
I mean, that thing, 427, big block, it would just shake the earth. I mean, you'd hear him coming from a mile away. And the few times he did pick me up, and my friends, 40 years old, they still talk about it to this day. So
really,
he made an impression with that car back then, but it was few and far between that he would bring it out and pick me up from school. It was more of a Sunday cruiser.
I bet Rick Riley misses that car.
He does. He does.
We got to do an episode of finding that car for Rick Riley and surprise him.
Yeah, that and a Porsche 930 Turbo side by side in the garage. Two gorgeous cars, and now he's got a Dodge Ram pickup truck and a Subaru Outback. So I don't know what happened to that guy.
He's still cool.
He fell off.
Still cool, man. He's still off. All right, real quick. Thank you for taking all this time with us, buddy.
Sure.
Can you show us a couple of quick cars around there?
Let's do it. I took
right,
a pit stop here in the interior department, but let's walk through really quickly. Flip this around.
You're the director of operations, man. You just cruise around. Do what you want to do.
I've got a Fatso Volkswagen Bug. Got some wide fenders on this guy.
All right.
Good paint and body, full interior. This is probably one of my favorite builds going right now. It's a 1977 911. This is one of their RSRs. It's pretty much their full race car for the street, and we're restoring it from the ground up. So I've had this thing upside down on a rotisserie, got all the old undercoating off of it, and started from basically fresh palette. So beautiful car. I mean, that's $1 million plus car when it's all said and done.
So how long is a build like that? Frame off, restoration?
A couple years, about 2.5 years, something like this.
Oh man.
Yeah. It's a lot of work. I mean, just sourcing some of these parts is hard. It has to be all original Porsche stuff. And we're using brand new wiring harness in here, all new suspension, new brakes, new everything. I love this one. This is gorgeous. This one's been completed for a while. 69. Got some really cool ghosted graphics in there.
Yep.
Everybody wants a 69 Camaro. This thing's got a 572 under the hood, making 850 horsepower, 850 pound-feet of torque. So it's an absolute
I had a 69
beast.
Firebird that got crashed on Fairfax. Someone slammed right in the back of me.
Were you driving?
I was driving, and I was actually taking a left there right before the Grove to get off of Fairfax because it's so busy in traffic, and some jackass slammed right into the back of me.
I got this Rolls Royce right here for you.
Is that a golf cart?
It is.
I'll take it.
It's a really expensive golf cart, actually. You would not think so, but it's all golden and gilt. It has
that's
gold
crazy.
gilded. Gold gilded. It has stingray skin on the floors. All of the tops, the towels, the surfboards, all Hermes. So they're hand painted. It's ugly as can be and ridiculously expensive. So,
whose is that? Can I ask?
It's not anybody that anybody would know. It's just a local client of ours that does some funky stuff. So I got a Prowler here.
All right.
not a lot of people doing stuff with Prowlers, but this guy did some candy paint on here and dressed up the wheels and did some interior work. So
how do those Prowlers hold their resale value?
I honestly don't even know. I mean, I was never really a fan of the Prowler when it came out, and I haven't really followed too much afterwards. I'm still not a fan of them to this day. This is actually a really cool car.
I saw one in Studio City that looked like it had rivets, and it was all painted to look like it had rivets with sheet metal. I don't know if you've seen that one. No, it was not cool. It looked like Frankenstein.
No, not at all.
So I sent it to my buddy Troy Ladd over there at Hollywood Hot Rods. I said, "Did you do this? Is this your work?"
What did Troy say?
He's like, "Lose my number. I'm gonna change my number tomorrow."
Great.
I'm gonna post it in hashtag.
Good question. Give me 1 second. Find it for you. All right, let me show you one more, and I got to wrap this up.
Okay, brother. Okay, man.
For me. So I've got this. It's called a Rezvani Beast. So total concept style car. Doing a really cool interior on here, and a little quick little sketch up on the interior, and we're getting it all framed up now. Just mocking it up in wood first, and then we'll start framing it out in glassing. And really
that
cool
kind of
project.
Looks like that. That kind of looks like that Stingray Corvette concept that they have at Peterson's.
Kind of. It's based off an Ariel Atom. So it's basically an open wheel race car for the streets. And this company decided to make their own body for it and kind of make it a little more edgy and cool looking. So super cool car.
I love it. All right, buddy. Thank you so much for taking time to do this. And
thanks for having me.
We appreciate, brother. Thanks for the reveal and the unveiling. And that's why we had to come back and do it, because last time you just teased us. It was covered. But I know the cat's out of the bag. So let me know when we're going to Six Flags. Yeah, man. Let me know we're going to Six Flags. All right, brother. Thank you, Chad.
One, man.
All right, thank you.
All right, bye.
West Coast. All right, y'all. That was a kick-ass first episode of 2021. Thank you, Chad Utt. Thank you, West Coast Customs. Keep making those sick rides. I want to bring my 78 Kentucky Porsche, the Trans Am, over for you to drop it, slam it, whatever you got to do. Judy's going to send the check, so send the bill, Venmo. Oh, she does PayPal, so do PayPal to the bill to her. And
we'll use the U.S. Postal Service. That'll be good.
Yeah. Everybody, thank you for watching. Let's rock the double wide. And this shines for you. Keep shining, y'all. We'll see you next week.
Later, y'all.
You're in the mix with Utilew. You're in the mix with Utilew.